Tomorrow, 115 cardinals will start the holy and secret process of choosing the next pope. People think highly of Cardinal Tagle as a priest. Many people admire him a lot because of the unique things that make him unique. I do, however, welcome you to our country, to the city of Manila, and to the Cathedral Church of the Immaculate Conception. This was just recently made public. After Pope Francis told everyone about this, Cardinal Luis was kicked out of the Catholic Church. What does this discovery really mean? Who will become the next pope? Is the removal really over? Watch this video with us as we get into the specifics. Card. Luis Tagle is kicked out by Pope Francis. Pope Francis fired everyone in charge of Caritas Internationalis, including the organization's president, Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle. He then put in place a temporary administrator after outside experts found problems with the organization's management and processes. A statement from the Vatican announced this surprising move, which got rid of the Federation's leadership. The Federation is in charge of 162 Catholic relief, development, and social organizations that work in 200 countries. Abel was president of the Sea Warrant, but he wasn't involved in the day-to-day activities of the company. As of May 2023, Pier Francesco Pignelli, a former executive in renewable energy and Bain consultant with Jesuit training, was put in charge of getting ready for the next General Assembly. This is when the Federation will choose a new president, general secretary, and treasurer. After an independent review of the workplace atmosphere by a group of experts hired by the Vatican's De Costeri to promote integral human development, Cardinal Luis and the leadership of Caritas Internationale were fired. Even though there was no proof of sexual misconduct or financial fraud, the study did find other important issues that needed to be fixed right away. Experts found major problems with management and procedures that make it harder for people to work together and boost confidence. Instead, it said that the move was meant to make them more successful. Pope Francis emphasized how important Caritas Internationalis was to his goal to help the poorest and most vulnerable people, but he also said that the organization's rules needed to be changed, which is why Cardinal Luis and his administrative team were. Caritas Internationalis made more than 5 million euros in 2020, with most of that coming from registration fees and donations from member organizations. The rest came from donations from outside the organization. The Vatican confirmed that finances had been handled well and fundraising goals had been met on a regular basis. However, it stressed the need to improve management standards and processes for future operations. Cardinal Luis also talked about the choice at a meeting in Rome where the old government was turned over to the new one. He said, "I want to make it very clear that this is not." Over and over again, the Cardinal said it 3 times. It's not about sexual harassment or abuse, and it's not about bad money management. The order makes it very clear what it wants to do. Because of the Pope's order, they are no longer in office, but Cardinal Tagle thanked Secretary General Aloysius John, who wasn't there, as well as the members of the Executive Council and the whole leadership team. The Cardinal said that this is a call to walk humbly with God, to do some soul-searching, to face our areas of unfreedom, and to welcome the spirit of freedom. It's also a call to walk together and appreciate how different cultures show who we are. He also talked about how hard it is getting for Caritas to do its job of helping poor and disadvantaged people around the world. Because of this, the Cardinal said, the decree emphasizes the hope that the Secretariat will be able to help all members and work in line with best practices and the values of the Gospel. There's no doubt that Cardinal Luis is a very humble and kind priest. However, how did Cardinal Luis become such a well-liked priest? Keep reading to find out more. Luis Antonio Tagalas, called to become a priest. When you grow up in Manila's busy streets, you are surrounded by a clear, lively, and always-on city life. A little boy named Luis Antonio Tagal set out on an amazing trip from these busy streets to the gates of the Vatican. His journey would take him from the Philippine towns to the Vatican. Tagal's childhood was marked by modesty, devotion, and a close-knit society with strong religious ties. Even though they didn't have much money, his family's strong religious views gave him a deep sense of purpose and direction when he was growing up. Even when Tagal was a child, it was clear that he was charismatic and had natural leading skills. Louis Tegel did very well in school and was liked and respected by both his teachers and classmates. His success wasn't just because he was smart or pretty, it was also because he really understood things and wanted to help other people. The young Tegel was always ready to help, whether it was a neighbor who needed help or people at his parish who wanted to do work for free. Later, his priesthood would be based on these ideas of society and connection. Tegel was interesting because he didn't want to become a priest at first. In his early years, he wanted to be a doctor because he thought it would let him help people directly. But things didn't go as planned for him. He often talks about what he calls God's lighthearted sense of humor. Tegel was convinced to think about going to seminary, which would eventually lead him to a much higher goal. He tells this ironic story with a sense of humor. Tegel began his formal schooling at the prestigious Ateneo de Manila University in the late 1970s. There he studied philosophy and theology. He got both a bachelor's and a master's degree in theology with the help of the Jesuits. He learned a lot about the educational traditions of the church and grew in his desire to serve others and work for social justice while he was at university. The Jesuits, who were known for having high academic standards and working hard to change society, had a big impact on Tegel's views and helped him see faith as an important part of everyday people's battles and problems. After becoming a priest in 1982, Tegel was hired as a spiritual director and professor at the nearby college. He cared more about making deep connections with people than following custom, even when he was just starting out as a priest. Tegel's mission was based on his unwavering desire to help people, stand by them through hard times, and make them feel valued and understood. In 2001, Pope John Paul II made Tegel Bishop of Imus. Not until 2011, though, when Pope Benedict XVI made Tegel Archbishop of Manila, did he start to leave a lasting mark on the church. His way of leading was a mix of kindness and firmness, and it was centered on meeting the spiritual needs of his community. This was a goal that reached far beyond the people in his immediate area. People in the Catholic Church knew Tegel as a well-respected leader because he was good with people, knew a lot about religion, and worked hard for social justice, whether he was Archbishop of Manila, worked with Caritas Internationalis, or went to Vatican synods. From the busy streets of Manila to the beautiful gates of the Vatican, Tegel's trip is a testament to faith, vision, and a strong desire to help others. What started out as a simple wish to make his community better turned into a lifelong journey of service to the church and the world. His story continues to encourage many people and shows how kindness and humility can change lives all over the world. A lot of people admire and respect the path Cardinal Luis Antonio Tagle took to become a priest. But what happened after he was fired as head of Caritas Internationalis? Let's find out the facts. The important role of Luis Antonio Tagle. In the Vatican City, a closer look at what happened shows a story that goes against the idea that Cardinal Tagle was the main target of the Caritas Internationalis leadership change. In fact, there is evidence that Cardinal Tagle may have started the performance review himself as part of getting ready for the election of his successor in the middle of 2023. He became president of Caritas Internationalis for the first time in 2015, and his second term ends in 2023. In the first place, Cardinal Tagle probably wouldn't have had to give the papal decree that fired him at the organization's plenary session if he was being fired. In its place, the Pope made him President Emeritus of Caritas Internationalis and gave him the difficult job of revealing the audit results and announcing the Pope's order for a complete reorganization of the leadership. The most important person who would be affected by this restructuring was the current Secretary General, Aloysius John, who was noticeably absent from the meeting. Second, the change in leadership meant that everyone in the Secretariat had to step down. This made room for temporary administrator Pier Francesco Pinelli and his team to do the audit. At the organization's General Assembly in 2023, a new president would be chosen to fully take over from Cardinal Tagle. In the meantime, Pope Francis has asked Cardinal Tagle to help Pinelli make the change go smoothly. Cardinal Tagle is also expected to give his duties as pro-prefect for the section of evangelization in the Dicastery for Evangelization a lot of attention. He has held this post since June 2022, and it is one of many that he holds in the Roman Curia. In this case, the Pope is directly in charge of this dicastery. It is important to remember that the young Filipino cardinal, who is sometimes called the Asian Francis because he shares progressive views with Pope Francis, was made a cardinal bishop, which is a very high honor. He joined a small group of only 11 senior cardinals when he was given this honor, making him the first Filipino to do so. Luis Antonio Talia's unique way of leading clearly shows the traits and qualities that a Catholic pope should have. Whatever the case, being pope comes with a lot of responsibilities. But what does it really mean to be pope? Let's look into it more, what the popes of the Catholic Church do. One of the most important and powerful people in the world is the pope. More than 1.3 billion Catholics look to him as their spiritual leader. He is the leader of the Catholic Church and is also seen by everyone as a symbol of hope, continuity, and unity that is strongly rooted in faith and history. The Pope is both a link to the past and a light for the future. In many ways, the Pope is both a guide for the future and a link to the past. Many people believe that the Pope has a lot of spiritual power, and that, as Vicar of Christ, he represents Christ on earth. As head of the world's religions, the Pope also has to deal with the many issues that people today face. The Pope is in charge of many important things, such as leading the Church's spiritual life, maintaining good relations with other countries, and giving moral advice. In his role as the most important person in Catholic theology, he sets the theological and spiritual goals for the whole Church. Through his papal letters, encyclicals, and homilies, he writes clearly about issues of faith and teaching. As the founder of the Church, his ideas have had an effect on discussions of morals and ethics in general. When he's not in charge of the Church, the Pope is a statesman who works to promote peace and understanding around the world. The Vatican has official diplomatic ties with about 180 countries. This makes the Pope the only person who can deal with world problems, settle disagreements, and fight for the rights of the poor. Along with his religious and diplomatic duties, the Pope often talks out about issues that affect people around the world, such as poverty, human rights, and climate change. It's good that fairness and equity will be a big part of the climate change meeting in Paris. Outside of the Catholic Church, his moral impact motivates people and world leaders to work for everyone's good. Catholics believe that being Pope is a spiritual calling and that the Holy Spirit guides the process of choosing the Pope. As long as this is in place, the authority of the Church will always be doing what God wants. The spiritual aspect of the job of Pope sets it apart from other jobs and gives it a deep feeling of holiness and purpose. His name is Jorge Mario Bergoglio, but people call him Pope Francis. He is the leader of the Catholic Church and one of the most creative and inspiring people in the world right now. As soon as he took office, Pope Francis wowed everyone with his genuine kindness, deep humility, and forward-looking ideas. His focus on building a church that cares about helping the weakest people in society has been innovative. He has promised to change long-held traditions and make the Catholic Church a place where everyone is welcome and cared for. People often say that Pope Francis has a pastoral pontificate, which means that he puts love and understanding ahead of formal power. The huge praise he has gotten for this plan, which isn't just from Catholics, has helped cement his image as a moral leader for the whole world in a very divided world. His unwavering commitment to humility, which still guides his job as Pope, is probably the most amazing thing about his leadership. Some people say that Pope Francis has